Welcome, everyone, to the Aging and Spirituality podcast. Our topic today is going to be about a subject called Kintsugi. It's a Japanese word, and it's really about the art of embracing your imperfections. You're going to find it a lot of fun. I sure hope. Anyway, my name is Kathy Taylor. I'm a co-host.
And I'm Chris Jensen.
And she's a co-host.
And I'm a co-host too. And we are so happy that you're with us today. So
we are. So I want to spell this word for you because it's Japanese and it's not really easy to hear what it actually looks like. So it's spelled K-I-N as in Nancy, T as in Tom, S as in Sam, U-G-I, Kintsugi. And it literally is a Japanese art form. In fact, if you're, I could show you, I could do a screen on here, but a lot of our listeners are just on the podcast listening. So you can Google Kintsugi and you'll see what it is. It's actually an art form. So what they do in Japan is if you break a pottery dish, you drop it and it's in, a gazillion pieces. They take it and it's not something they throw out. They take it and they use like a lacquer in between with gold and silver, and they make it into this most amazing, beautiful art form. Just look it up. It's really, really pretty. So the whole idea of, not just tossing something away, utilitarian away, but taking it and letting it be imperfect, letting it have and adding beauty to it, seeing the beauty in it. So this is the kind of thing that we're going to talk about today, how we can use that concept on ourselves and how it can help us with things like our sense of self-worth. So I really dug into this and I really like it. I hope you're going to enjoy it because we all have imperfections. We all
no kidding, right?
And we don't like to talk about them. We don't like to admit them. It's not something that you're going to cough up if somebody asks you, you might be able to drag out your best friend or something. They might be able to tell you their mistakes. Sometimes that's what actually helps you be friends with somebody. But it's not something that we're really, really comfortable with. And maybe today, you're going to see it totally differently. The way we view imperfections really has a big impact on our self-esteem. And as a result, on our happiness. Like if you don't feel good about yourself because you made some crappy mistake, like maybe you're mean to somebody or, you just did something that was against your own values and morals. And now you feel bad about yourself. And we just kind of tuck that away, slip it under the rug and don't deal with it. And this idea of the Kintsugi really helps you look at it in an entirely different way. So it teaches you to really embrace those imperfections and see them as part of your journey. Part of learning, it's part of growing. We're all here in their school.
It's a great thing. I remember many years ago, a nun came to speak at the yoga center, and she talked about that very thing. And she said, when I pick a flower, I don't pull the leaves off that aren't perfect because those imperfect leaves are part of what makes it so beautiful.
Oh, wow, how funny. Did she use that term when she was talking about?
Yeah, wow. It's really interesting.
Gosh, that's funny.
I always remembered that.
Oh, that's funny. I must have missed that class. I don't remember that, but okay. So yeah, so the imperfections are part of your journey, and it really teaches us that our scars are not something to be ashamed of. Okay, really put that into your brain. Don't be ashamed of the jiggly parts. I call them the jiggly parts. Because really what they can do for you, if you perceive them properly and put them in the proper places, they can remind you that you're strong and that you're resilient and that you've been through a lot. It really is about how you put that into your brain. So, okay. So what shapes us as human beings is not just our challenges, but how we respond to them. I've said that 100 times. I'll probably say it 1,000 more. With that in mind, we're going to look at what Kintsugi has to teach us. This Japanese art form actually translates to something called golden joinery. They take the gold and they join the pieces back together and make it really beautiful. And it's amazing because it dates back to the 15th century. And it actually it's a fun story. It actually is believed that it began in a tea ceremony, a Japanese tea ceremony. where the beauty of imperfection is actually appreciated. And the master, the tea master at the time, that's an interesting term, a tea master. I've never heard that before. The tea, I guess it's kind of like being a coffee. What do they call those guys that are coffee people? I can't
Yeah,
baristas.
they have a very fancy name that I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
barista.
drink coffee, so.
So a tea master actually reflected the philosophy of, he thought that Kintsugi reflected the philosophy of wabi-sabi. Have you ever heard of wabi-sabi? This is such an interesting Japanese concept too. It's WABI/SABI. And really, wabi-sabi is the same kind of philosophy. They celebrate the beauty of the imperfect, the impermanent, and the incomplete. They don't make the same kind of judgments we do over here in America. So the cracks in the pottery in Japan are not hidden. They're filled with gold, they're filled with silver, and you highlight the cracks, which is really interesting. Highlight the cracks and make them beautiful. The philosophy applied to our own lives can really help us embrace our imperfections. So we don't have to try to hide them. We accept them as part of who we are. And when we do this, we can really see the beauty of the imperfections. I know I'm saying that a couple of times because I want it to get through.
Yeah, I love the idea of it.
The senses, like these are old beliefs that we have held on to for a long time. Let's let them go. Let's try something new. Okay, so of course I came up with this interesting exercise because
we've got to fix it, right?
That's us. We're the fix-it girls. We're going to take a practice that it's actually very yogic, and we're going to reflect on times that we feel broken. So if you're not driving in a place where you're at home and you can be reflective, if you've got a journal, maybe pick that up and do some writing here. If not, just pick one of these prompts and walk through mentally the exercise that I'm going to take you through right now. Okay, so the first prompt is reflect on a time when you felt broken. Something about your life felt just really broken. And think about what were the emotions you felt at the time and how you coped with that particular experience. I'll just give you a couple minutes to think about that for a minute before I throw any more at you. Time that you felt broken and how you coped with it. So we can't be silent too long on a radio show, clearly, but take time to write about this. Take time to experience it again, re-experience it in your journal. Be honest about your feelings. Don't be afraid to explore your emotions, even if they feel really complex or deep or hurt or sad. Let's get them out. Let go of them.
I felt very vulnerable when I did this just now. That was the feeling I had, vulnerability.
Really? Were you able to actually touch on something that you felt broken about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have some other prompts that I'm going to give you after this, but so journal about it, get into the feelings, explore the emotions, and see what they are. Do they feel sad, angry, hurt? Probably feels like kind of a complex of whatever's going on in there. You may even ask yourself, where does that feel stuck in my body? Because oftentimes the body will take on that energy and hold on to it, and you could just kind of feel, oh, my heart just feels impacted by that, or maybe my solar plexus feels like, oh, that makes me feel kind of nauseous, that kind of thing. Then you hit the core, the kernel of it. So write about it, be aware of the feelings. Don't be afraid to explore it. You're going to, as Chris said, feel vulnerable. That's really, really normal. And then take some moments while you're in this process to really reflect on it and think about what you did, as I said, how you coped with the experience, and did you gain any strengths from that particular experience? What were the lessons you learned? And if you find that you didn't actually process it that far, you just felt the bad emotions and put them under the rug and didn't go that far, do it now, because that will help you process that whole experience. Remember, there's really no time and space when it comes down to it. You don't have to hold on to this. This is something you can bring up, re-experience, respond differently, and then have a different outcome. You'll be able to let go of it. And that's a really good thing, to create space in this kind of, especially if it's sad or angry and emotion that you don't want to hold on to. So look and see if you actually processed it, if you can think about whether you got a strength from it or a lesson was learned. And then, if you had not back then, do it now. Do it now. Look at it and go, what did I learn from that?
Yeah, you can always learn.
Always, there's a lesson in always, in everything, So, and then really consider embracing this experience at this moment, applying the Kintsugi principle. If you're going to get out a paintbrush now and you're going to take, it just sounds so fun. I want to go do that now. I want to go do that artwork. Like, take beautiful gold streaks and just put it up and down that broken bowl, just imagine yourself painting it in and making this gorgeous piece of pottery that you won't even want to eat out of it. So beautiful, you just want to look at it. Do that in your mind with that particular experience. See it as a big, beautiful bowl that you're going to paint over with gold and silver.
I love that analogy. It's so beautiful.
Isn't it?
Beautiful. Yeah.
You make a beautiful piece of artwork that is now a symbol of something that you went through, something that makes you stronger, something that makes you more of a human being. As vulnerable as you feel, you respond to it in a way that you go, guess what? I'm not perfect, and I don't have to hold on to this crazy concept of being perfect. Nobody is perfect. We're all here. We're all learning lessons. So there you go. That's the exercise to run through. And I'm going to give you a couple more prompts, just because I don't want you to do them at this point, but when you are listening to this later, I hope you do, you'll have some other prompts in case that first one didn't spark for you. So, okay, so that first one was describe a time when you felt broken and what were the emotions that it brought up. And here's another one. These are actually reflections on this particular experience. How did this experience affect your perception of yourself and your self-worth? Did it affect how you felt about who you were? Because that's another one that I didn't say up front. Did it change how you felt about yourself? Did you judge yourself as a bad person? It's really interesting because, especially for women, we have been raised in a very shame-based culture. So let me give you an example of what I mean when I say that, because I'm not trying to bash men. I'm trying to say that we are different creatures. We are raised differently. Our environments are different in what we grow up in. And so, for example, two little boys are fighting, they punch each other. They get going at it. And once they get their aggression out, the next thing you do is you see them playing together in the schoolyard. And you're like, what the heck is that? Like, they just let it go and they keep going. I just saw it a million times raising a son. It was like, those are interesting little creatures. They just slap each other and they get back to being friends. A little girl, if that happens to her, if she was slapped by somebody, a girl or a boy, if she slaps somebody else, she would immediately put a shame-based meaning to that. She'd feel bad about herself, wouldn't she? Yeah, think about it. As a little, I can feel it just shiver through my body right now as I say that. As a little person, even as a little person, if I had done some kind of harm like that, or I'd been harmed like that, I would have been so shocked and so like, crying. You always see when boys smack up on a girl, they're like, like, what did I do wrong? They take it on like something is wrong with them. Okay. So if there is one thing I can tell you about in today's talk that is going to be helpful for you, is that always look for the places where you're taking on as a female the shame-based meaning, like we learned to do when we were little girls. It doesn't work when you get older. Don't do it anymore. You don't have to feel shame about anything. Okay, that was fun. So just wrapping up a little bit and reminders about what Kintsugi is. It really is a beautiful reminder that we are all imperfect, and that's really okay. Make it okay for yourself. In
Yeah,
fact,
we don't want to judge ourselves. Yeah.
yes, in fact, yeah, don't judge yourself. Just make it that's what makes you unique, and that's what makes you special, because the older you get, you realize that the lessons that I have learned, my best friend didn't have to learn. My neighbor didn't have to learn. Like most people, your lessons are very unique for who you are. They're very specific to you. Am I right? Like that's really, really true.
Yeah.
And that's going to show you who you are,
Yeah.
It's really an integral process of learning who you are. And I always say, especially in sports, there's no winners and losers. There's only winners and learners. Learners. That's what we are. We're learning all the time. And if you're lucky and if you're smart and a go-getter, you're learning until the day you transition. Say something not as pretty, but until the day you're not on the planet. So, flaws and all, here we are, beautiful, beautiful creatures. Thank you to the art, remembering the art of Kintsugi, embracing our flaws and really seeing it as part of our journey.
Well, thank you for sharing this. This is
Fun, right?
This is life-changing, I think.
I hope so. I hope you're hearing it and seeing how you can apply it and change your own life. Just as one little idea that you can carry around with you, like, oh, I can take this flaw and just paint it with gold and silver. This is perfect.
It's just a simple, beautiful idea. I love it.
It gives you the shivers to really think about it. So thanks for listening to our podcast about Kintsugi and how we can embrace our imperfections. If you enjoyed this podcast, go and subscribe on our YouTube channel and leave us a review. We would love to hear your comments and your questions. You can always get a hold of us. I'm at KathyLeeTaylor.com. Chris is at yogacenter.org. And until the next time.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Be kind and embrace your imperfections.
You bet. I'll be doing that when we hang.
Bye.
Bye.